On to the business that we find ourselves here to discuss, Speaker, and that, of course, is waste, scandal, and mismanagement, because that's what we see from these Liberals with everything that they touch. It's like the reverse Midas touch. Now, I think you would be surprised that it's been so long since I mentioned their billion-dollar green slush fund. And the reason? Because every day there are new details about Liberal scandals, like their $60 million Arrive scam. This Prime Minister and his NDP Liberal government are always enriching their friends at the expense of Canadians. And tomorrow they're going to roll out their budget that is going to see Canadians continue to struggle after 8 years of this government. The billion-dollar green slush fund has appointees of this Prime Minister and people with their hand on the tiller under investigation by the Ethics Commissioner, having admitted to, well, enriching themselves while Canadians struggle. It's the same story at the $60 million Arrive scam, with a dozen investigations, not the least of which is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. But when we talk about accountability, Speaker, let's look at what this government's commitment is to accountability. In November of 2022, if you can, we'll look back there, we put forward a motion, the Leader of the Opposition put forward a motion to have the Auditor General investigate the Arrive scam. And this government says that they're transparent and they want accountability. Well, how did the Prime Minister vote? The Deputy Prime Minister, the Finance Minister who's going to give us the budget tomorrow, the Cabinet, how did they vote? These members, how did they vote? Well, they voted against having the Auditor General investigate this latest scandal. But it's hard not to feel disappointed in your government when every day there is a new scandal. And on that, the Prime Minister and I agree. And we are so disappointed because while Canadians line up at food banks in record numbers, they see inaction and a government that is worsening the crisis that Canadians are facing. They're going to be able to count on common sense Conservatives to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. When will this government do the right thing and do the same?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire du ministre de l'Innovation, des Sciences et de l'Industrie.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to respond to the comments made by the member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes regarding Sustainable Development Technology Canada. Mr. Speaker, we've taken the responsible and prudent actions necessary to investigate the claims that have been presented to us. These processes are well underway. The party opposite needs to understand that proper due diligence takes time and that the appropriate measures are in place to allow these processes to play out. ISED has temporarily frozen SDTC's funding and appointed a legal agent to review the organization's HR practices. The minister has also accepted the resignation of the board chair. On the matter of a potential conflict of interest situation, with the appointment of the former chair of SDTC's board of directors, the department was made aware of the situation prior to her appointment in 2019. Prior to the finalization of her appointment, Ms. Vishuran completed a conflict of interest review with the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner. A further review of conflict of interest practices is being conducted by the Auditor General. Innovation, Science and Economic Development is now in the process of finalizing the assessment of SDTC's response to the Management Response and Action Plan issued by the Department to address the recommendations in the Raymond, Shabbat, Grant Thornton report. This includes ensuring that there are appropriate oversight measures in place to provide for ongoing compliance monitoring. Funding will not be restored until the Minister is fully satisfied that SDTC has fully implemented the necessary corrective measures. Facts matter, Mr. Speaker. Our actions will continue to be informed by the proper due diligence. Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada is prepared to take additional measures in response to any findings or recommendations that may result from the legal review of SDTC's human resource practices. an audit by the Auditor General and the Ethics Commissioner's investigation. SDTC is an organization that wants to get back to supporting Canadian innovators in the clean tech sector, and this government is committed to supporting Canada's innovative clean tech industries. This is a sector that is crucial to ensuring Canada and the world meet our 2030 and 2050 climate commitments, and I'm confident that we are on the right path with the implementation of the corrective measures, the review of SDTC's human resource management, the AG's audit, and the Ethics Commissioner's investigation. I think the party opposite should allow the due process to take its course as we remain prepared to take the necessary actions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
Every time, it's the same thing. Just trust us. We have processes in place. This is what they tell us. And they didn't want us to look deeper at the billion-dollar green slush fund. And when we did, after they tried to block committee investigations, what did we find? Conflicts of interest. And what happened? I wrote letters to the Ethics Commissioner, and he launched investigations into their appointees. It's the same thing with the $60 million Arrive scam. Everything's fine, nothing to see here. 12 investigations later, they're still telling us to trust them. Here's the thing, we don't. We don't trust them to keep taxes low, or to build houses, or to balance the budget, to bring down inflation, or to return safety and sanity to our streets. Speaker, Canadians have had enough, and they want real action. They want a government that's accountable, and that's why Conservatives are going to bring it home.
The honourable member for Whitby.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is important that we not lose sight of the importance of pursuing our actions with diligence and focusing on what matters. I would like to urge patience as we allow the actions that we have put in place to play out. The only way to get to the bottom of the issue and to have the confidence to restore funding to SDTC is to follow proper due diligence and fact-finding. We set conditions before new spending can happen, and the organization is working to meet those conditions. There is much at stake here, not the least of which is supporting our innovative industries in the clean tech sector all across Canada. Thank you.